2057. Earth's resources are completely depleted. A race to claim every ore-bearing rock in the solar system begins. (2079). Tension grows as opposing nations compete for ever-declining resources and expand their military capabilities in space. 2085. Eurofed Deep Space Survey ship Argo is impounded by SDR-AF coalition forces. 3 ships are destroyed in the ensuing police action. Negotiations fail and war breaks out. 2086. The war escalates and military resources on all sides are rapidly depleted. 2087. The final fleet action takes place at Nereus Harbor, orbiting Neptune. Within days, the battle is finished. Damaged and badly irradiated, the flagship Damocles is the only cruiser to survive the conflict. The war is over. Powerful multinational corporations unite to take control and restore order to the tatters of society. With little remaining military or financial resources, Earth's governments are stripped of their powers and are forced to demilitarize. The construction of capital-class armed spacecraft is outlawed. 2089. The corporations continue the exploitation of space, making vast profits to further strengthen their position. Earth's coalition government is allowed to create a multinational force to keep order in the colonies. The government police are born.
I never intended to join the G-Police. A lot of vets did after the collapse, but I'd seen enough killing. And killing's what it's all about. When they first hit the colonies, the G-Police operated like any other Earth-based force. They got slaughtered by the truckload, and it was clear that the frontiers required more forceful policing. Close air support was introduced in the shape of the AG-60 Havoc. I'd flown these babies on Mars during the war, and they were past their prime even then. Lack of funding from Earth means that these ships are still in frontline service. Second-hand machines flown by second-hand crews. Which doesn't make the job any easier. G-Police are supposed to represent government authority in the colonies, but I knew the score. Most smart cops did now. Keep the population under control and try and turn a blind eye to any shady corporation deals. G-Police are all volunteers, usually vets with time on their hands. There's a few high-minded idealists who think they can make a difference, but the majority are just running from problems back on Earth. The G-Police ask no questions. If you're willing and you're up to it, you're in. Elaine Slater was one of the idealists. She was on her 4th tour as a Havoc pilot on Kalisto, and now she's dead. Another good cop among many. They don't keep count anymore, but Elaine Slater was different. She was my sister. The inquiry gave a verdict of suicide linked to stress and depression. I didn't buy that. Elaine had won commendations for closing a couple of big cases, and she'd even hinted at a new romance. Depression just didn't fit the picture. If I didn't believe the suicide verdict, that left only one option. Someone murdered her and went to the trouble of covering it up. I had to know the truth. With a couple of street contacts and most of my savings, I bought a new identity and signed up as a Havoc pilot in the colonies. My military record got me a posting to the main hotspot, Kalisto, to Elaine's old unit. I knew I'd have to watch my back out there. If anyone found out I was Elaine's brother, I was as good as dead.
Welcome to Kalisto, Mr. Taylor. I'm Commander Horton, and I run this operation. I don't know who you were trying to fool with that false name bull, Slater, but it's not gonna work on me.
I'd met some of the pilots already. They seemed pleasant enough. Horton was another story. A horror story. He talked tough and looked tougher. That hunk of tin hanging around his brain hadn't slowed him down, though. He'd spotted my phony ID and was not impressed. Arriving on the same flight as the internal affairs investigator hadn't earned me any brownie points either. It was plain that my new commander didn't trust me. Yeah, that was okay. I wasn't too sure about him either. As I listened to Horton, I noticed the medals he wore. A vet from the Naris action. No wonder he looked half dead. Well, then it clicked. He was the Horton, the last great fleet captain. What the hell was he doing in this backwater?
I don't trust you, Slater, and I'm gonna be watching you like a hawk. Your first briefing is tomorrow at 0500 hours in the main briefing room. In the meantime, I suggest you take a look at your unit's database and familiarize yourself with it. That's all for now, Slater. Dismissed.
Once again, the container lorry's wreckage indicates the use of prototype automated equipment. The attacking craft were gang ships, likely to have been hired for the occasion. The lack of human remains is disturbing, but we have been unable to recover any further clues. Your gun cameras confirm that no one left the lorry during the firefight. All evidence thus far suggests
Well done, team. Krakow are now definitely out of the picture. Despite setbacks, the last mission was a success. The data we acquired on both Krakow and Nanosoft is damning. It seems Nanosoft have developed a way of cracking military Cortex chips. As you know, these chips save out the user's brain map when they die. Nanosoft haven't yet been able to replicate this information, but they found a way to hardwire the chips into machinery. With the aid of a personality suppressant program, these stored skills and abilities are being used to drive Krakow's automated weapon systems. Which means, yeah, they've been using our own pilots against us. Why the two corporations fell out, we don't know, but it was a lucky break for us that they did. Nanosoft have kept quiet about the attack on our troops. They obviously know the extent of the information we have on them and are gonna take action. We've only got a limited amount of time. We've got to plan our offensive fast before Nanosoft can launch theirs. We've already witnessed some of Nanosoft's military capability, so we can safely assume that they have access to the same weaponry as Krakow. To make matters worse, the data dump contained references to some sort of super weapon. Unfortunately, the nature and location of this weapon were not retrieved. I couldn't alert Earth authorities until Krakow were out of the picture. Nanosoft would have definitely intercepted the transmission and jumped on us. Unfortunately, Kalisto has now entered Jupiter's shadow, and that means we have to hold out for nearly 16 more days before we can even send for help. I won't lie to you, the next few weeks are gonna be tough. So keep it tight, people. Mission briefings are at 0400 hours tomorrow. Good luck out there. Dismissed.
G-Police barracks and a nearby residential block have come under attack from Nanosoft fighters. It is imperative that we protect the residential block. It is assumed that the barracks will be able to muster its own defense. Slater and Ricardo will defend the residents. We'll also dispatch a couple of fighters to the barracks.
Control to Alpha Wing. Nanosoft have opened fire on a civilian area in the Ehrlich Dome. Your immediate presence is required. Over. Control to Alpha Wing. Take out that gunboat. Over. The attack on GP barracks has intensified. They require immediate assistance. Over. Control to Alpha Wing. You have 3 Nanosoft airborne on an intercept vector. Over. routes destroyed. Control to Alpha Wing. Proceed to Airlick Dome. Control to Alpha Wing. Proceed urgently. Heavy civilian casualties reported. Over. Control to Alpha Wing. Proceed to Airlick Dome. Control to Alpha Wing. If they destroy any more buildings, there won't be any residents left to save. Control to Alpha Wing. Proceed to Hardome. Control to Alpha Wing. I repeat, your immediate assistance is required. Over. Control to Alpha Wing. Proceed to Hardome. Control to Alpha Wing. Time is of the essence, Alpha Wing. Execute orders urgently. Over. Control to Alpha Wing. Nanosoft ground units have entered your dome. Over. to Alpha Wing. Dome all clear is confirmed. Over. Control to Alpha Wing. Mission accomplished. Good cleanup. Control to all units. Watch out for future decoy tactics. Defense of GP resources is a priority. Over. Control to Alpha Wing. Area cleared. Good work.
Ground Team Epsilon to Alpha Wing. They're bombing us. Where are you? Over. Ground Team Epsilon reporting. We are in position. Over. Saraka Dome entrance area has been secured.
We have successfully established a command post, but we have no real idea of Nanosoft's military strength in these domes. Further intelligence gathering is essential before we can begin any offensive. Before we proceed,